Rates of obesity since the 1980s have been growing steadily in the U.S. to really epidemic proportions. This is the first generation of American children expected to lead shorter lives than their parents did.
Obese children are less likely to be married, less likely to get education, and more likely to be living in poverty. Our clinic regularly sees 8-year-olds who look metabolically like unhealthy 65-year-olds.
It's not their fault. This is something that happens to you. It's not something you go out and find. And the question is, why?
Historically, the conventional wisdom why we get fat is simple. We eat too much and exercise too little. Every explanation for obesity that's predicated on the idea that it's about energy going in or out is misplaced.
To suggest that there are good foods and bad foods, we reject that entirely.
There is a solution to obesity. It's energy balance. It's balancing calories in and calories out.
It's nonsense.
So you need to look at the kinds of foods that our government subsidizes. And they are exactly the wrong foods if you're concerned about obesity and diabetes. We're subsidizing McDonald's. We're doing nothing to support the growing of real food.
Not enough people understand that this is a political fight.
The federal government is very influenced by the industries represented by lobbying groups that make the products.
The lobbying dollars that are aimed at legislators from the food industry are enormous.
Big money talks, and it talks very loudly around this town.
I think that if they didn't offer things like ice cream and candy bars at school, life would be easier.
Somehow over time, kid food became synonymous with junk.
Food industry knows that the earlier they introduce these foods to children, the more likely they will have branded them the next generation of users.
Federal Trade Commission has less authority to regulate advertising to kids than it does to adults. You would think that would be just the other way around, that the FTC would have more authority to regulate advertising to kids.
Ronald McDonald never sells to children. He informs and inspires through magic and fun.
If a foreign nation was causing our children to become obese, that's going to affect their health and hurt their happiness, cause them to be depressed, cause them to have poor self-esteem, trouble with relationships. If a foreign nation were doing that to our children, we'd probably go to war.
It's hard. Having to watch everything that I eat.
I've seen these things on news. Like this person had a heart attack, a seizure. And I've seen my family have had it too. And I'm worried myself might have it.
I feel angry. I don't want to die at like 60.
This is an enormous problem for the country.
If you think the national debt is a problem right now, wait till you see the tsunami of debt that's coming from the healthcare impact of obesity.
What about national security? Where will your first responders in the future come from if the population of children that are headed toward adulthood will be the unhealthiest in our history?
America may not perform as well in the world market in terms of education, and part of this might be that the health of the children is being undermined.
This is not just a problem of the obese. This is a problem of everybody.
The public's confused about what to eat for really good reasons. We've been brainwashed. This has been so carefully studied and carefully orchestrated by the big food companies that it's really almost like a war. And the nature of the war is to try to confuse us.
Every professional society in nutrition and health takes money from food companies.
The soda industry and its lobbying organization often cite your work as evidence that soda consumption couldn't conclusively be linked to obesity. Have you ever received money from Coke or Pepsi, and if so, how much?
Are we on camera?